Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope your week is going well. Welcome to another episode of the Win in STEM podcast. For our first time listeners, Win in STEM is a platform to highlight successful people of color STEMists to show others how to get a seat at the table and win in science, technology, engineering, and math. I hope you've been enjoying our Breaking Barriers in STEM series. There are so many organizations out there that are really doing great work in our community and doing all that they can to help and see us win. For today's episode, I have the pleasure of having the co-founders of STEMNoire, Dr. Kilan Asad-Bishop and Teressa Alexander. I was a STEMNoire ambassador last year and helped out with their virtual conference, and also helped out again this year for their in-person conference in Puerto Rico back in June, which was so much fun. Before we dive into the questions, one thing I like to do on the podcast is to allow my guests to introduce themselves. So basically, unapologetically, telling our listeners who you are, what you do, any fun facts, accomplishments. This is your time to show your Black girl magic. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Kilan Bishop. I am a California-born, broadly HBCU educated, then Miami educated molecular cancer biologist. My research work has now veered into some cancer epidemiology, which I do as a new employee at a private nonprofit institution. Outside of that, I am the co-founder of STEMNoire, which is a research and wellness community for Black women and non-binary people in STEM. It has been such a pleasure to work with Sade as a member of the ambassador team. So I'm super excited to be here, and thank you, Sade, for the invite. And I'll pass it to Teressa.
Hello, I am Teressa Alexander. I study plant science in Trinidad at the University of the West Indies, and I am a Trinidadian or Trinbagonian, as they say, because it is Trinidad and Tobago. Outside of that, I'm very interested in psychom and using nature as the inspiration for the things that I do in emerging art and science. And that's it from me. I am also the co-founder of STEMNoire, as Kilan had stated before, and thank you, Shadi, for inviting us to be a part of Win in STEM.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So you briefly mentioned what STEMNoire is, but if you can go into detail, like what's the mission of STEMNoire? How did you start it?
Well, that's a really long story. So Kilan did mention HBCU bred. Yes, so I'd actually HBCU bred as well. We went to Morgan State University together. We met each other in a program called MARQ-STAR, which stands for Minority Access to Research Careers. And that's how we became friends. I was a physics student, Kilan was a biology student, and we just met up because of the MARC program.
I'll add that even though we met at a historically Black college, so there was no shortage of Black people, it often kind of felt like there weren't that many of us who were pursuing like science. Like there were a lot of people in engineering, there were a lot of people in like the business school, but sometimes it felt like the number of us who actually like wanted to do research, scientific research, was kind of small. So we ended up around each other a lot, going to conference activities and things like that, and then stayed in contact throughout the years. From Morgan, I went straight to grad school. Teressa started working in a series of research positions, and we both went to predominantly white institutions. And, you know, I don't think I can speak for you, Teressa, but I think both of us went, whoa.
Yes. Yes.
Just at like the number of differences day to day, being around so many like vibrant, successful, really passionate Black folks in STEM, we weren't like strangers to knowing like science and innovation that was led by Black folks. And yet we went into these environments where that was not even close to the standard or the norm. And so both of us, just really started feeling that underrepresentation. Now, fast forward years later, I've finished my PhD. Teressa is now pursuing her PhD. We literally were on the phone, waxing poetic about how isolating STEM is, how we needed a break, honestly, just a break from like these really taxing, kind of sometimes toxic environments, like depending on where you are really and like what your experience has been. And we were like, well, what if there could be a, research conference that also is an opportunity to unwind, to be around, people that don't make you feel so othered, to not be so much of an only. And that's how we got here. And that is literally how we got here. After the phone call, I started bugging Teressa about the fact that we should like incorporate and actually like do the thing. And
Literally bugging me, yes.
but here we are, like doing the thing. And I think the most striking part of this experience has been what started as a phone conversation between two college friends really blossomed into this thing just because there was so much of a need. People have come to the community from all walks, all stages of life and of their scientific journey, and all expressed remembering a time where they wanted a community like this and not having it. And so it's been really nice to kind of know that what we thought would be nice was actually desired by a large part of, this Black women in STEM population.
And just to add to that, one of my reasoning for it being women was basically our lived experiences, but for me specifically, being in technical engineering spaces, it was very male dominated. Not just white dominated, but male dominated. And I just have these, like how she said, toxic, going into a building where you'd be the only Black person, let alone the only Black woman, and the entire lab being males. And this has been my experience for my entire time doing research as an undergrad, and then switching but moving into different research experiences, but it was still very much so male sort of area, male dominated area.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. Even me being like an engineer, since college, we've always been like male dominated, and doing internships and being in the industry, it's something I wish that more females got into. But yeah, I think it's having organizations like this to kind of bring that to light and attract other females to STEM, if it's engineering or science or whatever, it's really important. So for STEM Noir, what specific programs or initiatives do you offer to help Black women pursue careers or an education in STEM?
So I actually wouldn't say that we provide, maybe indirectly, our programming might inspire folks to pursue STEM who are traditionally underrepresented, whether that is Black folks or women or Black women. But there's a lot of efforts that are focused on recruiting, minorities to STEM. And then when the gauntlet drops and the environment becomes toxic, or they start feeling like, wait, this isn't what was actually promised to me, sometimes there's a lot less of the support systems to actually retain that talent. And so our programs really started out of a desire to support folks, Black women in STEM, non binary folks who've already chosen STEM, and make sure that they stick with it past all of the obstacles that seem to be commonplace among our experiences, whether that's, not feeling like they belong in like the most, I would say, benevolent environment versus overtly being abused and pushed out in the most toxic environment. So our signature program is our annual research and wellness conference. We offer personal and professional development workshops. We offer wellness programming. and we offer research talks, and we do that all in the same space, whereas traditionally you kind of have to choose one or another. So folks can come, they can present their work, they can hear about other innovative work, they can learn about the transferable skills that they're going to need past lab into career, or they can hear about the skills that they might need if they're already in the workforce to advance to a leadership position. But also, we can have those kind of candid conversations about what it actually means to care for yourself as you are pursuing professional success. And by no means are we like the experts in these things. This is not like come to Puerto Rico and hear Kilan be a hypocrite, right? We very much provide spaces for professionals and other types of speakers to lend their expertise and convey their message to our community, as long as it's aligned, as long as it adds to the conversation. We also offer some year-round programming that I'll let Teressa take it away.
Well, year-round programming. So we do have Wellness Wednesdays, and this was hosted by the researcher, Dr. Alicia Franklin. And it has been a really supportive space for even grad students. Professionals have been in there as well, professors, all interacting within that safe space for women to talk about what they've experienced during grad school or in their professional spaces. We also have outreach programming where we do work with high school students. We've had this done during Black Women in STEM Week, I believe, and we do have other outreach programming to come for youth interested in STEM, and also to hear from Black women talking about STEM as well.
And then the little pop-ups we started last year.
Not you prompting.
I'm just saying.
Forgot something. Our STEMNoire socials are pop-up events that we have in areas where our membership is strong. So if you are listening to this and you're a Black woman in STEM, you're going to want to log into our STEMNoire app, download, request access, and log in, because last year we had 2 socials, one in Dallas and one in Washington, D.C., and we might have some more coming up, but you have to be in the app to know. But essentially, those are just really informal environments for our members to meet each other in person. We have a global membership, and not everybody is in a position to be able to make it to a research conference. So, in the interest of accessibility, taking our show on the road every so often allows other members of the community and folks who may not be a part of the STEMNoire community formally just yet, to get to know other folks who are in the same field or in the same area, and hopefully connect and join us more formally.
I actually loved the pop-ups because it gives us a way to meet our virtual community in person instead of waiting for the conference that comes up. But it's really a good way to build relationships with other female feminists in the area and just uphold each other in the physical realm, not only virtually.
Absolutely. And I think it needs to travel down to this region because somehow I need to get it going.
We live in the United States.
That's why it crossed past my head. I was like, wait a minute. Yes, they do have pop-ups. But, my location just doesn't. Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. A beach social. That would be nice. All right. Just throwing that out there. Okay.
So recently, there's been organizations that haven't really been fond of, how do I say this? So there's organizations that been attacking resources for people of color. So we all know about the group of people who went after affirmative action in the educational institutions. Just recently, I believe it's the same group, went to go and file a lawsuit against Fairless Fund, which is a fund that invests solely in women founders of color. So with these, things going on in our climate right now, have you personally, or maybe STEMNoire, encountered any challenges in promoting, diversity, inclusion in STEM or uplifting females in STEM? And if so, how have you overcome them?
So I'll be completely honest and say I don't think we've faced many barriers or obstacles in doing the work that we do. If anything, our biggest obstacle has been finding like-minded partners who are, going to
Mm,
stand 10 toes down about supporting Black women in STEM rather than like overt attacks. It's just kind of ramping up that support for folks to
mhm,
really understand and collaborate to uplift this very particular demographic, understanding that when we prosper, the policies, right, that enable our success and retain us as talent really benefit everyone. Black
mm,
women are not a monolith. So if we have policies that are benefiting Black women or Black women who are also a part of the LGBTQ community or Black women who are also international, there is no limit to the good that can be done. So we are blessed in that regard. But I will say that, it is concerning to see people so fervently going
yeah.
after parts of, policies and programs that only had to be established because of the legacy of structural racism and classism and misogyny in the United States. So you don't want to actually talk about the problem, you just want to attack the solution.
Mm,
We are a community that anybody can join. To be completely honest, like I don't think we've ever turned anyone away. However, our space will always center Black women and non binary people in STEM. If a white man attends, if a Black man attends, if a Latina who does not also identify as Black attends, they will be in a space that centers and uplifts Black women. Black women will always be adequately represented among our
mhm,
speakers, if not overrepresented. Black women will always be overrepresented among our attendees. And that is because there are so many environments where underrepresentation is the norm. Like, I can't imagine the heartbreak if I went to go attend STEMNoire 3033 and there were two Black women in the room. Like, wait, this is supposed to be for us.
mhm.
So, if anybody listening to this is like, I'd like to check it out, you sure can, but understand that you are in a space that is unapologetically catered to the needs and feelings and desires of Black women and will cater to the well being of Black women as long as we're in existence.
I love that. So, on a positive note, I was able to experience this firsthand at the conference in Puerto Rico. But can you both share some success stories or inspiring experiences that you've witnessed through STEM Noir?
I would say it'd be an international and women from as far as the UK and
Yeah.
Canada joining us in Puerto Rico. Like not even the US. They came to Puerto Rico. Okay. When I heard that there was a person from the UK, I didn't know it was more than one person. I went to her immediately and I started talking to her. This was at the welcome reception. We were sitting down having a conversation for probably like an hour and a half. I don't know. I was very like shocked that they took the time or they found the resources somehow to get to Puerto Rico to join STEM Noir this year. And also for the same for the women who joined us from Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty amazing.
Okay, so I have one organizational success and then one kind of heartfelt community based success. So I would say that our organizational success has been getting pretty rapid support pretty quickly. And it's been, a challenge to sustain that support. But, within our first 2 years, we were able to secure a 3-year partnership with our title sponsor, which is Ginkgo Bioworks, and it's a big deal for a company that big, also a startup, but obviously way more well resourced, to take a chance on an organization like ours. And it's been a really fruitful partnership. So that would be my organizational success, because it points to, if we're able to establish more of these, right, it points to actually being able to sustain this as an organization versus just kind of a feel good effort. But the feel goods are important too. So my feel good, proud moment was probably seeing us sell out of our first conference. There were a lot of sentiments early on, like, well, are people actually going to come to Puerto Rico? It's really expensive. Even days before, there was a potential hurricane developing in the Atlantic. And
Yeah.
so there were all of these, little moments where it was like, wait, is this really gonna work? But not only did we hit that moment where it was like we actually cannot accommodate any more people, but literally over 98% of those people actually showed up in person. They didn't just register and realize later, like, oh, it's non refundable. They actually bet on us. They actually joined us. So seeing just the sheer amount of people who showed up for the first night at the welcome reception, and you can't miss us because we're in
Yeah.
all white. And then seeing that video that we took the last day of everyone crowded on the stage, and like the photographer and videographer could barely fit us in the frame. That was the moment that I was like, wow, like we have to do this again. We have to do it bigger. We have to like consistently make this better, because look at the people who have literally put their faith in us, in this organization, in the mission. Like, we can't let them down.
And traveling across the globe, like that was wild. Like I also met some people from Canada. I'm like, what? You drove all the way from Canada with all your layovers and
I
flight
know.
delays? Like, wow. It was amazing.
I don't know. I think also the testimonials and seeing people in tears,
Mm-hmm.
because it exists, just its existence. Yeah, that was, yeah, pretty powerful.
So with STEMNoire, are there any, or if you could talk about it, if there's any upcoming projects or future plans that you're excited about?
Uh, so we have some things upcoming. Don't know that we can discuss them yet. I would say for the most pressing thing is STEMNoire 2024. So our second annual in-person conference, our fourth annual conference overall. It will be from June 20th to 23rd, 2023 at an undisclosed location that will be out soon. So really excited
Ooh.
about that. And we have to run back some of those in-person socials. So we look forward to announcing some dates for folks to meet up and tee in person soon.
Yes, and shameless plug again, make sure you download the STEMNoire app to get notified of all these big plans that are coming. And then looking into the future, what are your long-term goals for STEMNoire? And what steps do you plan to take to continue supporting Black women in STEM?
I think for me, having different chapters in different parts of the world, I think because we were able to reach so far as Europe, I think we should be able to have sort of, even if we just had STEM socials hosted through a university within the UK, I think something like that would be great, or within the Caribbean region as well as United States or Canada. Yeah, the growth of the organization within different parts of the world would be really nice.
Yeah, and I mean that's all about partnerships, right? We have started talking
Mm-hmm.
about the other Black women in STEM organizations that function in different regions, and talked about what it might look like to establish a meaningful partnership, not just say, oh, we're the US arm and they're the UK arm, but to really work together to make sure that we're represented at their events, that their audience is represented at our events, and that we can
Mm-hmm.
share resources. I think that speaks to a larger partnership vision. So, being able to be present at other STEM diversity conferences, being able to curate many safe spaces, if you will, because there are STEM diversity conferences where you still might not see the amount of Black women that, really make you feel like, oh, this is for me, this is for us. So, being able to do smaller events that are based around different conferences to support the work that they're doing and have them support ours, as well as branch out into some international programming with the right partners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in general, we've always talked about as a team potentially working with a group of interested Black men in STEM
Mm.
to flesh out what does this parallel vision of STEM noir for Black men in STEM look like, and to maybe exist under the same umbrella to do some collaborative programming there, but also be able to branch out and recognize our unique needs as gender diverse communities. And so that's definitely something that we're thinking about as well. But immediately this is about securing the resources to double, triple, quadruple attendance
Yeah.
at STEMNoire in the coming years over the summer, to be able to scale our support to be able, to the point where we're not reaching conference fees that make it inaccessible to our community, and to be able to continue to compensate our keynotes, to be able to provide perks, like whether it be free registration or anything else, to our speakers, discounted registrations for presenters, and all of these things that we do for our community. They are not necessarily things that we do for free. So as we grow, we have to be mindful of growing our back end resources as well to be able to continue to do these things. Because what is a community for Black women in STEM if Black women in STEM can't access it? So that's
Yeah, yeah.
definitely front of mind.
I can't wait. Bigger and better each year. I love it. Now that the listeners have learned about STEM Noir, what your future plans are, how can our listeners support STEM Noir and get involved?
Well, first and foremost, we can be found on the internet at stemnoir.org. On our website, you'll find information about the impact of our past programming, plans for future programming, as well as how to contact us, how to get involved as a planning council member, ambassador, sponsor, volunteer, all of the above. You can also follow us on social media at STEM Noir. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if anybody still uses that. We also have our app, which you mentioned earlier, Sade. So, whereas if you subscribe to our mailing list via our website, you might be among many different types of people with a vested interest in the STEM Noir community. The STEM Noir app is really a place for Black women in STEM to connect with other Black women in STEM, to share resources, to share jobs, to talk about opportunities, to talk about their day. And, all of our events get posted in the app. Eventually, we'll be building out a resource library in the app. So, definitely worth joining if you have not already. But yeah, across those many different digital avenues, there are a wealth of opportunities to connect with us. And if you're interested, to figure out how to get involved.
Thank you so much, Kilan and Teressa, for being on the podcast. But most importantly, thank you for creating this community and giving us Black women the space to be our authentic self. So, if you're a Black woman in STEM, make sure to check out STEM Noir. My listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a first time listener or a returning listener, a veteran, I thank you. Make sure to rate, like, and subscribe on all our platforms. Follow us on Instagram at the Win in STEM podcast. And if you're a STEM organization or business that wants to be featured, please reach out. We can't wait to showcase you. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your week. Y'all be great and go out and win